Today we're going to continue with Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson, the biography, and we're going to talk about the chapter 3, Life with Father, and the chapter 4, called The Seeker. And you see here is the game he did create when he was a child. So these are very interesting chapters as well. I enjoy actually reading this book. I had doubts to buy it, but then I just convinced myself when I saw it at Costco, and it turns out to be a very interesting read. And chapter 3, Life with Father, I have my notes here, so I'm looking down at them so I can remember everything I wanted to point it out. And it says at 10 years old, he moved in with his father. That was a decision made by being influenced by his father and his grandmother from his dad's side. And the idea was that it wasn't fair that his mom had all the kids and his dad is all alone. He did regret it later to move in with him, but at that moment, he thought it was a good idea. He didn't want his father to feel alone. He loved his grandmother too. And the second reason was that his dad had two sets of encyclopedia and also lots of books that he could read and engineering tools. And when Ellen was 14, his brother Kimball came to live with him, and the pretext was that he didn't want Ellen to be alone with his father. And so my thinking is that they were talking about how life is with his father, and his brother wanted to come and support Ellen. And together with their father, they built a lodge that could be rented to tourists. And this is something he did later on in life when he was a student. He did that too. He came with ideas on how to rent his own space to make money. During that time, he won a contest that was for older people, not for kids. It was a shooting contest, and the prize was a box of whiskey, which he didn't get because he was too young. And that shows us that he always tried for something more above his age rather than his own age. And there's a good correlation with my life. As I was a kid, my parents had concerns that I didn't really like to play with kids. And often they'll find me being with some grown up person, learning something from them. Like I was pretty young, about 6 years old, when I learned how to crochet because someone was crocheting. And then I knew I would go to visit my grandma on my maternal part, and she liked to crochet. So I would go with things I made to show her, and then I would do that with her. As a result, when I was visiting too, his mom also decided to move closer to Ellen's dad because she wanted all the kids to be together more often. And when they needed to do something that with their cousins, that their mom, the cousin's mom or sister of May, didn't want to allow them because she was more strict and more, worried. May would say she's taking them to a church camp. That way, they could go and do whatever they wanted to do. And during that time, they saw lots of violence when they were pretend um, uh, pretended to be on church trips. They saw lots of violence, and they say that it learned them to survive. It teaches them to survive and not to be afraid, and also stop them from doing stupid things. Elon Cousins says that Elon Musk believes that his decisions should never be based on fear. So he always was competitive, and wherever he was doing it because he wanted, and he never let fear to drop him down or convince him not to do anything he decided to. As a student, he didn't put effort on things that he thought are meaningless. And here we go. I was in school too, and it was very hard to make me actually do things I thought it was meaningless. For me, PE was meaningless, so I would never do what everyone was doing. I was just filing pretend. I would find reasons why I shouldn't do it, and some other type of classes I just didn't see the meaning in it, and I didn't want to do them. And when he needed to have a psychological retreat, if he felt nervous or maybe overwhelmed, he would turn to reading. So books and bookstores were something where he was often found. And it's very funny because the other day me and my husband and our kids were playing a game, and each of us would stay in front and just ask questions, and then the other people will have to write it on papers and later see if they guessed the answer. And one of the questions I gave was like, what's my favorite store? And I was thinking Amazon, because I was thinking that it's going to be easy for everyone to guess, since Amazon like kind of lives at my house. And my husband said Barnes and Noble, and I cannot tell you enough how first surprised I was, but also happy that he knows where he can find me when, especially when I need to chill or I need something like I feel like I would need more inspiration. I really like to hang out at Barnes and Nobles. Um, his mother thought he was genius because he read all the encyclopedias and all the books, but kids around thought that he was annoying and a nerd. And yeah, it's very true. Sometimes when people are talking to you and you have more knowledge or extra knowledge about a subject, if people say their opinion and you try to tell them, not necessarily to tell them they are wrong, but you know how actually the things work, they look at you like, and they don't really appreciate it. So sometimes, um, based on situation, if it's not life threatening or it's not very important, or where doesn't necessarily need a clarification, I personally prefer not to tell my opinion. And people who ask my opinion, they actually want to know if I actually read about it or I know something about it. And to those people, I can actually talk to and more depth about what I know. And I can see that they appreciate that I talk to, that I'm answering their question, because it's followed by other questions. And sometimes when time passes and we talk about something, they are still mentioning what I told them, and they are like, right, remember what you said. And but people who don't appreciate that or don't want, or they are like so strong attached to their opinion, I try my best not to intervene. Not that it's needed, but sometimes, when someone says something and you kind of know more about it, you more thinking about sharing your knowledge, but people can think of you as you being annoying and a nerd. And chapter 5 is called The Seeker. And this chapter starts with telling us that his mom, May, was working at a Sunday church school, and she was teaching kids about Bible stories. And Ellen tended to ask every single story, like he was putting it in question, like why, where, when, does science support that? Is that even realistically possible? So his mom decided to leave him home and not take him with her anymore, because it was hard probably to teach a bunch of kids when another kid stays there and says, no, it can be, I don't know, it doesn't seem real to me. And so he did question everything, and he wanted to know a lot. He liked to read books about sci-fi and like about artificial intelligence, like robots and how that would work. So his favorite book was The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. I hope I said it right. And the book is about what Musk is currently doing. He wants to understand if artificial intelligence would be helping people, would be protecting people, or if it can actually develop some type of actions of its own and harm people and have bad intentions for humanity. So that's what he's doing right now. Like he's trying to figure out that, and it seems like since he was a kid, that was something very important for him. At 11, he saw the first computer, and he was very amazed by it. So he started to save money from odd jobs in order to buy his first computer, and he did buy it. So this is a very good lesson, actually. I think that people who can see something and they set it as a goal and they are convinced that that's something necessary, and they can set a goal and actually work for the goal until they get what they wanted. It's like it's a praise. For me, it's an impressive quality, and it's something that I admire. So this was a very nice um, way of thinking, mindset, even though he was a child. And this chapter says that there was a personal computer seminar, and I don't remember how many hours long, but the cost was $400. That was a lot of money. So he started to nag his dad to go there, and his dad would question, "Why would you go there?" And he would say that it's essential. So what his dad did, he found a way to um, make it cheaper or pay cheaper for it because he was a child. Maybe he could stay in the back and all that. So he did went to that seminar, and when his dad came to pick him up, he found him talking to three of the professors, and one of the professors said, "This boy must get a new computer." So we see that he wasn't just having like a childlike interest; he actually was interested in all that, and even older people who are professors in this domain notice that he actually is thinking reasonable about the computers or whatever they were talking there, that they had the feeling that he needs a better computer. So sometimes it teaches me right now, this just came to my idea that sometimes we might be looking at our kids and think that whatever the idea is might not seem real to us, not serious, and maybe even childhood, like childish, and we shouldn't pursue it. But we see that sometimes when our kids could talk to other people, and those people could see how they, for real, how much knowledge they have and how good they are at what they're talking. So it teaches me to listen to my kids. It actually teaches me to listen and encourage and support their dreams, and I'm trying my best to actually do that. And then he made the game at 13. He created a game called Blastar, and he got $500 for it, and then sold it to some other game um, companies. And that's interesting. You see, he went to that seminar, he had his computer, he really put an effort to learn about it and do something, and then actually made some money. And after that, he's got this idea that he should create an arcade game um, type of thing with his cousins, and he figured that the money flow will come and support the arcade machines and all that. And when they had all the documents necessary to do that in their country, they needed someone who's over 18 to sign for them, and nobody did. So that was like the end of the deal. But it's interesting how his mind was actually not only entertained by things he wanted to know, but he actually was figuring out a way of how to do it. And it was very nice that his cousins were supporting him in that. It would be nicer, of course, if adults would do more to support them, but I guess we cannot really judge because there was times, and probably the way they figure out how to do these arcade games didn't include all the expenses that a grown up could probably think of. So it's like very, very interesting. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I'll see you in the next one. And I hope you do like, subscribe, and you can comment and share. Well, thank you for listening.